Yo, what's going on, guys? SMH back, bringing you guys another reaction video. Um, so I saw this video here, and I actually kind of did watch some of this video, but I don't remember like all the players and stuff like that. I didn't really finish watching it because I figured it'd be a good idea to like kind of rank all these players as underrated, overrated, or neither, before like I got through like all of them and stuff like that. Plus, it's kind of hard to remember like all of them. But yeah. So we're watching King in the Fourth Quarter. I was gonna look for this actual quiz so I could take it myself, but it wasn't in the bio. I know Kenny sometimes used to do that on here, but yeah. So I guess we're just gonna watch this. I'm gonna give my opinions on each of these players that are shown, on what I think of them as underrated, overrated, or neither. And yeah, let's get right into it.
Oh, this is in a quiz format, but it's not really a quiz. First of all, this is real weird because I was literally I was looking at love sacks, like those big old beanbag chairs. You may not know. I was looking at those. They're really expensive. I was on their website and now I get an ad for it. Very interesting stuff. Not a promo, by the way. But it's in the quiz format, but it's not a quiz. All right. The answers of this quiz are based on majority.
Okay, so that's what like the green one goes.
Trae Young. Is Trae Young
Trae Young?
overrated?
Trae Young. Now Trae Young, the way he's been playing, his team literally hasn't been winning like at all. He's playing insane though. I'd put him at neither. Honestly, I don't think he's underrated because I feel like a lot of people know that he's basically on a trash kind of team right now. But they'll develop. They'll be a better team in a few years. But yeah, I'd put him at neither.
Rated or neither.
I wouldn't put him like a top 5.
Some of these I'm gonna talk a lot about. Some of these I won't. So I'm gonna pause for Trae Young.
Top 10. I think a lot of people would say, yeah.
Is kind of underrated. Coming into the season, I mean, him and the Luka comparisons will be forever.
Oh, already had.
Growing up, I was always the littlest guy on my team.
Steph Curry, is he gonna be on here? Probably not. That would actually be a good one. Steph Curry on here, maybe.
We're traded for each other. Luka's getting a lot of buzz.
Because the way they started the season and stuff like that.
On a playoff team, while Trae Young is putting up great numbers on a sub 500 team. But I think Trae Young's impact is great, right? Once we finally see the Atlanta Hawks build a roster that's competent,
it doesn't translate necessarily to wins.
Buzzing about Trae Young.
I feel like
at this point he's kind of underrated.
Trae Young is great when he has other players around him. That's when his impact is great. Because right now they don't have John Collins. I don't think they have Kevin Huerter either. And Cam Reddish has kind of been like up and down a little bit, kind of inconsistent. Like if they get those two guys back, and some of the other guys start picking it up, then yeah, they could be a pretty good team. But until then, like basically Trae Young's value doesn't really matter. Because he's getting like 30, 40 in all these games, but they're still losing.
Oh, yeah. This guy thinks he's neither. The creator of this quiz, Jason Tatum. I'm going to just say Jason Tatum is neither. In his first couple years of his career, I think he was overrated, but now he's finally coming into his own. Like,
yeah, I think he is neither. He might be slightly overrated, but not nearly as much as it used to be.
I really know that Jason Tatum is a good NBA player, so I'm going to say neither.
I don't know.
And this guy says he's overrated. Spencer Dinwiddie is
he's underrated. Yeah.
I think he's really showing that to the world right now with Kyrie Irving being out.
He might be an all-star.
25-point games, 30-point games, being the leader that the Brooklyn Nets need right now. Now, there's some interesting stuff going on with him because I've seen people on NBA Twitter throw his name in the trade machine because he's playing so well right now, they could potentially trade him for a piece that can help Kyrie and KD for next year. I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but it's an interesting thought.
I don't know. I kind of like Dinwiddie with him. It almost brings like a Lou Williams type of vibe.
We'll love him here in Chicago as our starting point guard. There's a few teams.
Yeah, we already had him. We already had him. We literally got
Terry Rozier.
Wait a second. We had him. We traded Cameron Barstow, I'm pretty sure, to get Dinwiddie. And then we just waived Dinwiddie, I'm pretty sure. Bulls, what are you doing?
Oh.
Overrated?
He's overpaid. This is something super important. There's a difference between overpaid and overrated. There's a huge... Is Terry Rozier overpaid?
I would say it's neither.
Yes. He's not even the best.
He's playing pretty good this season. Not like a superstar.
I don't think he's overrated either because the whole world knew that was an overpay. Now, if there's people out there saying, "Let Terry Rozier about to have a great season," they're maybe overrating him a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Well, he
So
isn't
yes,
having a
he's
bad season. I
overpaid,
mean,
but I
he's
don't
not
think
having
he's
like an all-star
overrated.
type season, but I don't know if many people are going to
Lowry at
expect
this
that.
point,
Right now, he's overrated. Yes, he is
that's
overrated
that's
right now.
that's my opinion at this moment. I'm not trying to argue with other Bulls fans. That's what I'm thinking.
You're not
Colin
arguing with
Sexton, I
me.
think,
I
is
agree.
neither because. Okay. I don't really hear people talking about Colin Sexton other than just the Cavs fans that I
Colin
know.
Sexton's been a
I
pretty
like
good scorer so far for the Cavs this season. I know he's playing shooting guard, so he hasn't really been able to like play make for others. I'm pretty sure like Darius Garland's playing point right now, and he's kind of struggled. But yeah, so I can understand why like he doesn't average like I think he averaged like 3 assists, Colin Sexton. But yeah, he's having a pretty good season. I wouldn't call him overrated at all, though. I wouldn't call him underrated. Um, I think he's fairly rated,
Cavs
but
fans
he's also
because
on
you're
the
not going
Cavs.
to blow things out of proportion, right? You see people,
Kristaps right
fans, like for
now he's
example, I guess a
overrated,
great example would
but
be Larry
once
Markkinen,
he
right?
gets
Larry
healthy and
Markkinen's
all
rookie
that
season,
stuff, I
we
think
thought
he'll
he was
be
about to be
neither.
the second coming of
I don't
Dirk.
think he'll ever be
We were
really
being
underrated.
kind
We
of
know what he
crazy in
is.
our brain, and Colin Sexton had a very good rookie season, but I didn't really see people out there calling him the next Kyrie Irving. You know what I'm saying? So I
Yeah.
like Cavs fans because they're usually down to earth and they understand Colin Sexton is decent, but
Even
right
though he
now I wouldn't
averaged,
say
I'm
he's
pretty sure
underrated or
similar
overrated.
numbers to Kyrie's rookie year.
Kristaps, we'll skip for now. Jokic is
Neither.
neither. I think we
We
got
know
to
what
the
he
point where
is.
everybody understands how good Jokic is.
He used to be
Blake Griffin is
underrated.
getting to the point where he is underrated.
I agree. Blake Griffin
He's
is
coming
pretty
back from his
underrated.
injury, slowly getting back into the swing of things. Last time I checked, he was averaging like 21, which is good for Blake. The team is not winning really, but I know that if somebody were to trade for Blake and he's on a contending team, he would impact that team dramatically.
Yeah.
Draymond Green is neither. I don't think
Yeah.
he's
Well,
overrated.
it depends what you're looking at for Draymond. I think if you're looking from a coach's standpoint or like the media standpoint, then yeah, I'd say he is overrated because I think personally he's more just a system player. He could go almost to. I mean, he's on a bad team right now because the Warriors aren't good, and he's not doing anything different. He doesn't look like anything close to like what we thought. He's gonna put up. He's gonna do what he's gonna do. Like we all know what he's capable of. It's just a matter of if the team's good or not. And I think when he has like Curry and Clay around him, it kind of elevates his game a little bit, makes him like look a little bit better. But then once he has like nothing around him, like there's no way he could carry a team. There's no way he could do what like some of the other guys like I mean like what Luka's doing right now or what I'm trying to think of like a one-star team. I guess like what Giannis was doing like without Chris Middleton. Like he's not anywhere close to those guys. Maybe not even the tier below that. But as a system player, then yeah, he's a system player type of all-star. Uh, but yeah, when the
Because
system's not
when it
good,
matters, when it's
doesn't
time
make
to
him look
play
good.
basketball in the playoffs, Draymond Green brings it all, and he's one of the
Clint
best
Capella
playoff
is
players we have
slightly
ever
overrated.
seen. Don't bring me
Slightly
his
overrated.
PPG, his rebounds, but that's
Slightly.
irrelevant. Watch some games.
Because of
Clint
the
Capella, I
playoffs.
think he's underrated.
No, I'm going to say because of the playoffs because I know you just mentioned against the Jazz, he always gets the best Rudy Gobert. That's true. But whenever they played the Warriors, he would always basically turn into Rudy Gobert the last series. I think he's slightly overrated in that regard. That's kind of why they didn't want to pay him. I just saw this thing the other day. It said like the Suns' master plan in 2018 was to maybe that was an idea. It was to draft Luka Doncic and then sign Clint Capella. And it could have happened. I'm pretty sure Capella didn't sign his contract with the Rockets like 4 weeks in the free agency. So part of the reason was because of the playoffs.
Victor Oladipo. Victor Oladipo was an All NBA player.
I think
So I would say
he's
neither overrated
slightly
or
underrated.
He's properly rated.
Slightly underrated.
Okay, got it. Patrick Beverly. Shout out to my Chicagoan baby. I got number love for Pat Bev.
Pat Beverly. This is a tough one. Good thing that Adam's here because I gotta think.
Oh, it's my mouse. This thing sucks. But buying new gear isn't.
But honestly, the what Russell Westbrook said a few weeks ago that Patrick Beverly's just all over the place, all these antics. I love Pat Bev though.
Okay, well, I wouldn't say he's underrated. I don't know if I'd say he's overrated. I'd probably put him in neither though. But yeah, he is kind of crazy, like sporadic on defense. But I mean, it works most of the time, and he's a pretty good spot up shooter. So I don't think he's underrated or overrated. I think he's just fine. Nobody thinks he's like a playmaker or whatever. He's kind of one of the lower tier starting point guards in the league, but I mean, most of the reason he is a starting point guard in the league is because of his defense and his ability to hit like big shots. So I don't think he's overrated or underrated. Now, Kyle Kuzma, right now, I would say he's overrated.
Kuzma.
A lot of these guys are like
Lakers
dealing
fans
with
don't come
injuries,
after me.
though. That's the thing.
That's my opinion. I love Kuzma as a person.
Jaren Jackson
his
Jr.,
social media game
I'd
is
say is
crazy,
overrated.
but he's not very
A little
great.
bit.
Could he have
He
explosive
hasn't
games?
had much
For
improvement, I'm pretty
sure.
sure, this
He's
season.
He is a microwave.
What scares me about Jaren Jackson Jr. is that he's going to become like Andrea Bargnani, and he's just going to be a pretty solid scorer on an all-right team, and he'll never be able to average more than like 6 rebounds a game. Yeah, that's what concerns me about Jaren Jackson Jr. Now, defensively, he's way better than Andrea Bargnani, although he does get in foul trouble a lot. But yeah, I just kind of fear that. And if I know they do have Jonas Valanciunas, but Valanciunas, I'm pretty sure, is like 27, 28. He's only like 20, 21. So I'm pretty sure Jonas is almost in the stage like it's kind of like a complete tier above. Like it's almost like looking at the Lakers with LeBron and Anthony Davis. Like LeBron's about 7, 8 years older than Anthony Davis. So AD is gonna have probably like 3 or 4 years there to himself, assuming he stays and stuff like that. Where he's like in his prime. So.
It's a Kyle Kuzma game, but if he missed those first 2, you're like, oh, okay, he's probably playing 15 minutes tonight because if he's not scoring, he's not helping your team. Jaren Jackson Jr., I think he is underrated. Jimmy Butler is underrated as well.
He's neither. I'd say Jimmy Butler's
he's
neither.
not a superstar, but he
Eric
has
Bledsoe,
some superstar type impact.
Eric Bledsoe's neither. If we're talking regular season, he's underrated. Now, postseason, he's overrated.
For example,
That's
Miami
why.
Heat were not a playoff team last year. They had Jimmy
And
Butler.
he's so inconsistent. Okay, he's so inconsistent to the fact that, like,
underrated.
I think 2 years ago in the regular season, he was insane. And then 2 years ago in the postseason, he did nothing. And then last year in the regular season, he was insane again. Last year in the playoffs, came up small. And then this year in the regular season, he's doing it again. So because he's underrated, overrated, like this is the perfect like pendulum of like going back and forth. I would say neither. I think we kind of know what to expect of him.
Oh my God! This man said Eric Bledsoe is extremely underrated in the regular season. Season. Once we get postseason, I'm not worried about Eric Bledsoe. But right now, so far this season,
isn't that what we're going off of? We're going off like the players right now.
So far,
what we see from
them. At this moment, he's a bit underrated.
I mean, Eric Bledsoe didn't get like monumentally like worse or better like this offseason.
He's making noise to be the best center in the league right now.
Towns,
at least this season,
yeah, that's about
I think he's
fair.
been the best center in the league. And then last year,
I'd say he's underrated.
Like 4th and 5th. You know what I'm saying?
He might be the best big in the league, the best center in the league. I don't know about best big, but best center.
Brandon Ingram.
The way Jokic is playing and
the world is starting to wake up on BI. I'm gonna say he's underrated at this point.
Underrated.
Last time I checked, he was averaging 25
Frank,
points per game.
I think it's neither. I don't think anyone talks about Frank, and it's kind of rightfully so.
So I think he's underrated. Frank Ntilikina. Knicks fans love them for Frank Ntilikina. I love that he brings the defensive side of the ball, but his offense just not there. I'm gonna say he's neither underrated or overrated.
Underrated.
Next,
okay.
Chris Paul is underrated. And there's it.
See, okay, when it comes to Chris Paul, I had a feeling he would be on here. Chris Paul, I don't think he's overrated because I know he isn't like having such a statistical jump this season. Pretty sure he's having like one of his worst statistical seasons ever. But his shooting, his field goal percentage is pretty good. His 3-point percentage is pretty good. And people think like he's not really on a good team. He's just not good anymore. Well, I think part of that is because he's not really motivated. Because I'm pretty sure 2 years ago, people like to forget that he was playing really well when the Rockets got to the conference finals and were up 3-2 on the Warriors. And then it was his injury is the reason that they lost. But I guess people forget about that. And if you look at him, I mean, he's in his 15th year. How many people are this good in their 15th year? Like, production-wise, I think he's just as good as like Dwayne Wade was in his 15th year, but everyone was praising like D Wade for being like a god and stuff like that. I'm not trying to like come at like D Wade or any D Wade fans or anything like that. I'm just throwing out an example. But Chris Paul is not playing bad. let's see. What you said.
There it is again. Chris Paul is extremely overpaid, but he's definitely underrated.
He is overpaid. He's not. I don't think he's underrated.
And I fall into this too. When they were ranking point guards coming into the season, Chris Paul, on a lot of people, wasn't even on the top 10 list. Chris Paul is undoubtedly a top 10 point guard in the NBA. Are you kidding me? So if you're saying he's not top 10, you're extremely...
Undoubtedly. You got Steph Curry, Damian Lillard, Kyrie Irving, Russell Westbrook. Trae Young's playing well. Luka's a point guard. I mean, I don't really know. I don't think he's undoubtedly. I mean, I can't really think of them anymore off the top of my head. Kemba Walker. I don't think he's undoubtedly a top 10 point guard in the league. If anything, he's 9 or 10 in that spot. Like, there's no way you can say he's better than like Kemba or something like that. I don't know about that one. I personally think, I don't know. I would say he might be top 10, not undoubtedly neither.
Underrating him. Let me show you some statistics. I'm not big on the stats, but this is really showing. I'll explain this to you. Effective field goal percentage, he is in the top 85%.
Yeah, we know he's been like pretty efficient.
That's better than him when it's effective.
That's why I'm putting him at neither, because he has been really efficient, but his stats have been like way down, and he doesn't seem motivated. And that's the thing. Like, what if he never gets traded? If Chris Paul doesn't get traded this year, or if he doesn't get traded like ever, because no one wants to trade for him or something, and he just ends his career like playing for the Thunder, then yeah, he was pretty overrated for this, or pretty like not overrated for this, but he wasn't underrated for this because you couldn't get him anywhere. That's the thing.
He's elite. That's just shooting the ball. Look at his own off numbers. Shout out to Cleaning the Glass, by the way. It's on off numbers, bro. When he is on the court, his team is plus 4.5. That's all you need to know. This right here, this number, plus 10.1.
Yeah, but hold on a second. Hold on a second. You're talking about Chris Paul, one of the greatest point guards of all time. I'm looking, I see plus 20, plus 17, plus 15, plus 17, plus 21. His difference has been the lowest since his second year in the league, too. So you got to take that into account when you're talking about how great Chris Paul's been for his career.
The defense, I must admit, the defense has not been.
I'm sorry, I think my face was covering that.
Previous years, but all that is being said, Chris Paul is underrated but overpaid. I'm telling you, there's an in between spot, and Chris Paul is there. At this point, Aaron Gordon is neither.
Yeah,
I would say he's neither.
I don't
Tobias
think
Harris is
he had a moment,
but he's not overrated.
Tobias Harris, I'd say, is neither too. Aaron Gordon had a moment, I think it was 2 years ago. I don't know if you guys remember when the Magic started off to like, I think it was like a 7-3 start or something, 7-4 start, whatever. And they were like top of the East. And Aaron Gordon was averaging like, I think like 22 and like 10 a game. And people thought like he was like gonna be like Blake Griffin, like reincarnated or whatever. Yeah, no. Aaron Gordon's a solid player. I don't think he'll ever be an all-star. But yeah.
Underrated. Because I'm comparing this, think about this. I'm comparing this from the fans' perspective. The GM overpaid Tobias Harris because he believes that Tobias Harris could be his star.
I feel like that all kind of takes into account, though. Like both the GM, the media, the
Tobias Harris got that
players, the
contract,
fans, whatever.
Like, hello?
But it's like all kind of put
together.
together.
He's not worth that much money. So the GM thought he was. Shout out to Elton Brand.
It's all different percentages,
the overall
but yeah.
consensus is that, man, Tobias Harris got paid a lot of money because he's not amazing.
Devin Booker, I'd say still slightly underrated.
I think the fact that the Suns are winning games, the world is starting.
Well, the Suns are winning games, but they haven't been winning most recently. Like, I think they're on a 3 or 4 game losing streak or so.
Underrated or overrated?
So I feel like people are going to be like not giving the Suns credit and stuff like that. So I'd say he's still underrated.
They always wonder like, okay, can he do the same thing on a good team? He's doing the same thing on a good team, even higher. Last time I checked, he was shooting 50% from the field.
Yeah, but he was underrated like when we were looking at
Why would you
a
not
team that wasn't really that good, and we all thought that he could do that on a better team. And
50% from 3.
He can do it on a little bit of a better team, but how good are they?
CJ McCollum is always going to be kind of underrated in my eyes.
Yeah, he might be the best.
Underrated
I think
LaMarcus
CJ
Aldridge.
McCollum's gonna overtake like what's seen as Mike Conley's spot as like the best player from this era to never be an All-Star. I think that's gonna be CJ McCollum. Buddy Hield, I also thought was underrated. LaMarcus at this point might be slightly overrated. He hasn't had the greatest start to the season. I personally thought if they were to get an All-Star last year, I thought it should have been actually DeRozan over Aldridge. I know I'm I think in a select few of that, but yeah.
Aldridge, I think he's underrated. Ooh, LaMarcus has been one of the most consistent players this whole decade. Like literally the whole decade. Check his numbers.
Yeah, but not we're talking about right now.
Kyle Lowry. If
Lowry
this dude says Kyle
is
Lowry is
neither.
overrated, I'm gonna be heated.
Yeah, he's not overrated. He's not overrated. He's neither.
Listen,
because he's proven he's a champion.
The people that follow the channel for a long time, you know that there is a balance between statistics and the eye test.
Yeah.
Kyle Lowry does all, and I mean all of the little things.
Well, he does the stuff outside the statistics.
What makes him a good leader is the fact that the
and
dude
I think
is old. Like, I would
that's the thing that's different with Draymond. I think Kyle Lowry is still a pretty solid player outside of the Raptors organization.
Right defensive rotations. And this year, before he
pretty
got
sure he
injured,
averaged like over 14 a game, like with the Rockets before he got there too.
How somebody say that's overrated? I don't understand it. He was
even like the first few years, like when they didn't make the playoffs, or first year or whatever.
I just don't understand it. I don't understand it.
He's neither. Mike Conley is neither.
I think this guy's gonna say underrated, but I think he's neither. Yeah, I don't think Mike Conley's either. John Wall. I haven't seen. I feel like it's been 5 years since I've seen John Wall play. That's just how it feels in my heart.
Well, I guess you could say it's underrated because
I had to pick underrated.
I mean,
underrated,
people are talking like he's not even gonna play another game again.
John Wall.
I don't know. That's really a hard one.
Overrated, but underrated. And lastly, Kristaps. Kristaps such a weird case because he's coming back after not playing basketball for 600 days. So of course he's not going to be good. You know, of course he's not going to be great. He's been good. Of course he's not going to be great. So I'm going to say he's neither. Either way. And I hope you understand the whole overrated versus overpaid thing. I hope.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for this. Yeah, so I just feel like it's kind of weird. A lot of these have to do with players that are injured. Like, obviously, we saw Kristaps there. And I mean, even like some other players that like weren't on the list, like maybe Gordon Hayward and stuff like that. Like people were quick to jump on him, saying like he's not a star anymore after one bad season. But nobody wanted to jump on, say, like Paul George when he came back and averaged 7 points a game after like breaking his leg, and then he came back the next few seasons and was playing good. And I mean that's kind of what Gordon Hayward's done so far this year. I know he's injured right now, but yeah. So hope you guys enjoy this video, and I'm out. Peace.